Something that we're going to need to do for a lot of optics is talk about ray diagrams, and this will help us figure out how images are formed. So when we're talking about an image, light from a lens or let me rephrase that. When light travels through a lens or bounces off a mirror, those are the two ways we might redirect light. Light through a lens or bouncing off a mirror. So when light travels through a lens or bounces off a mirror, it may create an image. Not always, but oftentimes it will. And then depending on a bunch of details of where the object is, where the mirror is, where the lens is, what kind of lens, various other things, the images will look different. And so as a result, we want to describe those images and talk about how they compare to the object. So first trait that we'll talk about is magnification. And the question that we're answering here is the image larger or smaller than the object? So a magnifying lens, as the name kind of implies, makes the image larger than the object. So it's bigger than what the actual object is, the image that is created. We also have location. Is the image on the same side as the object or the opposite side? So some things like a mirror creates an image on the opposite side of the mirror than where the object is located. A magnifying lens, like I mentioned earlier, you look through the magnifying lens and you see the image on the same side as the object. Then we have distance. Does the image appear closer to the lens or mirror or farther away than the object? So images might be closer, they might be farther, they might be the same distance. And then lastly, the type. Is the image real or is the image virtual? And this one's, once we start drawing ray diagrams, it's a lot easier to tell whether an image is real or an image is virtual. So to determine these traits, we have to sketch a ray diagram. So we use ray sketching. And we look for the intersection of the rays. And then ray sketching produces diagrams like this. So what you'll notice is in the first diagram we have the ray. So in all four diagrams, we see rays going from the top of this woman's head. And then when they go through the lens, they get bent in certain ways and they travel out the other side. So in the first image, you see the ray going through the lens and getting bent at this steep angle. In the second image, you see it going straight through. In the third image, you're seeing it going at a pretty steep angle and coming out straight. We'll talk about the rules of how to know how to draw these later, but for now, just see that all three of these are rays of light traveling from their head. Then what happens is if you look on the opposite side, they intersect again, which means if your eye was here, it would see all the rays from the head of this person striking here, and so it would be refocused, and this creates an image. So if you can draw a bunch of lines from one location on an object, and you find that they all come back to the same point, then that creates an image of that object at that point. We could draw a bunch of lines from her feet, and we'd see they would also intersect on this line here, and so that's what we're looking at with ray tracing or ray sketching.